Hello, Simmers. This is your captain speaking. We started off a while ago looking at the training in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and today we are going to take the second of the 8 training modules on attitudes and instruments. So let's get started. In today's training, we're going to be training in Sedona, Arizona again. We'll look at attitude and power equals performance. And in this session, we'll explore the core fundamentals of flying and learn the main attitudes of flight, changing pitch attitude to control speed, and adjusting the power to control the rate of climb and descent. And we'll read indicators of aircraft performance on the instrument panel. It takes about 7 minutes to complete this training, so it's a really quick module. It'll only take a few minutes, and I'll take some time to explain some of the things that are going on during the training. Let's go ahead and get in our flight. We'll look at seven different instruments in today's training. First of all, the airspeed indicator or speedometer, or whatever you'd like to call it. The attitude indicator here right in front of the pilot. The altimeter tells us the altitude of the aircraft. The turn coordinator helps us to keep turns coordinated. In other words, the tail is in the right place compared to where the wings are at. And the purpose of this is to keep the center of gravity right in the same place when you're in a turn. The center of gravity should bank at the same rate as the airplane and so on. And that's controlled with the rudder. The compass in number 5, or the heading indicator. 6 is called the variometer, or the vertical speed indicator. And then the tachometer way over here on the right. There are other gauges in the Cessna 152 dealing with navigation, but we won't be looking at those today. It'll take just a moment or two more to get in the airplane, so I'll pause for a moment until we get there. All right, so here we are in Sedona, Arizona, paused above the city. Currently, our indicated airspeed is 96 kilometers, and the heading is 244 degrees. We are 6,100 feet above mean sea level, and I think the rest of this is not really necessary for today's flight. Let's go ahead, get in the cockpit.
This lesson will focus on the main attitudes of flight, your aircraft's orientation relative to the horizon. Look outside. Notice how the cockpit is situated approximately 4 inches below the horizon line. You're flying straight, maintaining a decent rate of speed. This is the cruise attitude. Check to see how it shows up on your instruments.
Instruments show the plane level, pointed at the horizon. Speed currently is about 90 knots. We are coordinated. We are flying at 240 degrees. The vertical speed is at 0, and our tachometer is about 23, that's 2300 RPMs. Let's notice up here at the top there is a window that expresses objectives, and it tells us what it expects us to do at this time. And it says to focus on the instruments, press Control 1. So if we hit Control 1, then
First
we
up,
come right down
your
to
attitude
the
indicator.
instruments.
This shows your current attitude. The white line is the horizon. And as you'd expect, the sky is above and the ground below. That orange element in the middle is your aircraft aligned with the horizon. As you saw outside, your current cruise attitude is relatively straight and level. Next up, check your tachometer to see how much power the engine's generating. All right, approximately 2,300 revolutions per minute. Attitude and engine RPMs combined translate to aircraft performance. Which leads us to your airspeed indicator. And last but not least, your altimeter. To calculate your altitude, read the small needle first to find out how many thousands of feet up you are. Then read the big needle to figure out the hundreds. With your current attitude and power output, speed is holding steady around 90 knots, altitude is a stable 6,000 feet. But not for long. Take the stick when you're ready.
All right, and our objectives tells us to press A2. That is on the yoke, and so we reset the camera with pressing the A2 on the yoke.
Pull back slightly on the yoke, raising the nose approximately 2 inches above the horizon line.
This is going to cause...
You don't want to pitch up too much. If the angle's too steep, it won't create lift. Without enough lift, the aircraft will stall. Now, go full throttle. Start your climb. You are now in a climb attitude. Check to see how it shows up on your attitude indicator and tachometer. On your altimeter, you can see you're gaining altitude. However, you're losing airspeed, even at full throttle. Not a sustainable situation. Go ahead and bring the aircraft back to a cruise attitude. Ease up on the yoke, aim your nose slightly below the horizon, and reduce your throttle to 2,300 RPMs. That's it. You're set up with the same attitude and power you had at the top of our lesson. Time to move on to the descent attitude. First step is adjusting your power. Reduce your RPMs to 1,800. Next, you'll want to lower the aircraft's nose, just a little farther below the horizon.
A little too much throttle or too little throttle. Now that turns to 8 and aim farther below the horizon.
With a nose-down attitude, it's no surprise altitude is decreasing and speed is on the rise. Now, bring the aircraft back to a cruise attitude. Then we'll be ready for the final part of our lesson.
About 2,300 RPMs. And the nose just below the horizon.
All right. We've covered cruise, climb, and descent. Time to cover the turn attitude. Gently move the yoke left or right to start rolling the plane. A quick look outside will show how your attitude has changed. However, you can also check your instruments for the details. As a general rule, you should always aim to keep your turns under 30 degrees. On your attitude indicator, you'll find a series of notches along the top. Each notch represents 10 degrees.
We're at 10 degrees now, 20
You
and
may
30.
notice the more you
This
turn,
is
the more
45
you need
and
to pull
60
back on the yoke
degrees.
to maintain altitude. When you're rolling out, you'll need to do the opposite. Roll and push at the same time. Mastering the main attitudes of flight is an essential step for every pilot in training. You're on your way, but more practice never hurts. Whenever you're done, pass me the controls.
Yeah, it's looks like we're still descending here, so let's get back to flight level, and we'll go ahead and call that a day. Thanks for watching. Come back to see us next time.
All right, I have control.